The reason a lot of these happen, and you mentioned a shooting at the schools, you need to end gun-free zones. Gun-free zones. When you look at, killers always look for a place that's a gun-free zone, because guess what? Nobody else is going to be able to protect themselves. I'm a concealed weapons permit holder myself. We don't want to take away the constitutional right for someone to protect and defend their families in America. And when you've got crime at all-time highs, you've got illegal immigrants crossing the border, you've got mental health crisis that's as much as it is, the last thing I'm going to do is take away the ability for someone to protect themselves and their family.
That was soon-to-be former presidential candidate Nikki Haley at her truly disgraceful CNN town hall. And while Haley looked awfully uncomfortable trying to fit her Washington diplomat personality into the overalls of MAGA hate, old Nikki did her best to throw some red meat to the Trumpers.
No, I don't trust government to deal with red flag laws. I don't trust that they won't take them away from people who rightfully deserve to have them, because you've got someone else judging whether someone should have a gun or not. It is a constitutional right that people can protect and defend themselves. What I want is the feds to do their job. What I want us is to take illegal guns off the street. What I want us to do is deal with mental health the way it deserves to be dealt with. And what I want is for us to have the backs of law enforcement so that they can do their jobs. That's when we'll start to get safety back on our streets again.
Okay, a few things if I may. First off, get a load of these two. These people are every single American who's sick of hearing Nikki Haley's NRA talking points. Second, what? Nikki Haley doesn't trust the government to enforce red flag laws, which empower police to remove guns from the homes of people deemed a threat to themselves or others. That's weird. Like, really weird. Like, so weird it's more conservative than even a lot of the current Republican Party. Even Ruby Red Utah is considering new red flag laws, and Tennessee's Republican governor is about to do the same. And red flag laws actually do work. It's a weird insult to the law enforcement Haley claims to represent. Red flag laws in blue Connecticut and red Indiana are having a real effect on reducing gun suicide rates. In Indiana, that rate fell over 7%. In Connecticut, it fell nearly 14%. But forget all that data-backed research. Nikki Haley's gonna govern with her gut, and Haley's gut is telling her some pretty misguided things about mass shootings.
It's an important question for our country, because I have a mom heart. I know there are a lot of parents in the audience that realize that we worry about our kids. My daughter works in a hospital. I worry about something happening there. My son is in college. I worry about something that could happen on campus. More murders are caused by street crime than anything else. So let's start focusing on what we can deal with. First of all, let's get illegal guns off the street. Let's have the backs of law enforcement. Let's get illegal guns off the street.
Okay, so in case you missed that, Nikki Haley's plan to address mass shootings is to say that it's too hard to deal with, and let's focus on street crime instead, which isn't actually a solution to mass shootings or street crime, because Haley doesn't actually propose any policies for either of those issues. But Haley does have one idea, and it harkens all the way back to a proposal Republicans have been floating since the Sandy Hook shooting. What if we just turn schools into actual prisons?
Secondly, let's make sure when it comes to our schools, secure our schools. There should be one point of entry. There should be a law enforcement officer at every school. We should make sure there's the clear bulletproof tape that we have at courthouses and airports. We should have that on our schools to protect them. And we should have a mental health counselor at every single school, not a guidance counselor, but a mental health counselor. Then we need to make sure that the feds actually vet properly. When I talked about the church shooting that we had, that murderer, when he went to go buy a gun, because the feds didn't do it in the time allotted, they gave him the gun anyway. He should never have gotten it.
You know what? Nikki Haley's right. The white supremacist who killed 9 black churchgoers in South Carolina in 2015 got his gun because the ATF didn't act in time. The ATF didn't act in time because Republican policies defunded and stonewalled the ATF's gun control mandate. And people like Nikki Haley cheered that obstruction until the moment the bodies started piling up at her door. Republicans' only solution to mass gun violence is to turn our everyday life into a prison, surrounded by police, surveilled, and always on edge. That's because they aren't allowed to talk about the real problem, the guns. People like Nikki Haley want to turn America into one giant carceral state, because in the end, that's the only kind of world the limited Republican imagination can create. Meanwhile, the root causes of gun violence are ignored, and their discussion avoided. Nikki Haley may have mom heart, but she also has Republican brain. That alone is reason enough to keep her miles from the White House. But if her CNN town hall performance is any indication, Republican voters will handle that one for us. And folks, there is so much more news to cover, so get comfy and click over to this video about a MAGA pastor with some insane beliefs. And as always, leave a comment below so you can let me know what I should cover next.